Hi, my name's Claudia, and I want to show you how I've been using the Miro online interactive whiteboard for online teaching. If you go to miro.com, you can find this application and download it. They have a free version as well as a paid version. Everything that I'm going to show you here today is using the free version of Miro. The free version offers you 3 free whiteboards. The whiteboards are unlimited in size, so really you can upload as much as you want and use as much space as you want, which is useful. Here at the bottom, you have a zoom in and zoom out option. So we can make our board smaller if we wanted. You also have a fit to screen option. This is very useful if you have a lot of work on your board and you want to find something quite quickly. I obviously don't have a lot of work, so we're not seeing a lot right now. Let me just zoom back in, keeping my space. Okay. So if you wanted to share this board with a student, you can click up top here, the share button, and this gives you the option to either share a link or to share via email. And once your student is signed into the board with you, what you would see, which is something you don't see now because I'm the only one signed into the board, is over here, there would be little circles with your student's initials. And these are useful because you can click on a student and you can call them to you. The students also have the option to follow you along the board. This is something they would have to set up. So if you wanted, or if you had a small child, you could get the parents to set that up, and everywhere you moved along the board, they would move along with you. That would help to not let them get lost on the board. As I mentioned, it is unlimited. Okay, so we have different options. And over here on the left, I'll show you some options that we have. So we have our pen tool, which is useful. You and your students can write at the same time. So you can write anything you wanted on the board, and that would show up on your student's screen at the same time as you are writing. This pen tool is useful for games such as Hangman. You can draw a little hangman thing here, and that way you and your students can play Hangman together or play Pictionary, as everything is showing up on their screen at the same time that you're doing it. So I've already uploaded some work onto the board to show you. If you wanted to upload something, you would just go into your left column over here. There is an upload button, and you have different options. You can upload from your device, from a URL, from saved files. The saved files is useful if you're using the board with a number of different students and you've chosen to divide up your board. What you could do is you could click on whatever work you were doing, click on these 3 buttons here of more, and then click on add to save files. That's this one right over here. And now if we went right back up to this upload option and clicked on saved files, you would see that my action verbs crossword is now here. So you can store work there for quick access. You can really upload anything onto this board, images, PDF documents. You can make photocopies of books. I mean, I've just taken photos of stories before and uploaded the images. That way you can do stories with the children. So over here, I've got a crossword, which is something that I do sometimes with the children. You can do any kind of worksheet, and together you can just use the pen tool and write. There are many different options of colors that you can choose from. I've got lots of colors because I've kept adding more all the time using this plus button over here. You won't have that many colors to start with, but you can add whatever colors you need. So choose a color, and then let's have a look at these action verb pictures. So we have number one. Number one to me looks like the word right. So we can write that in here. If you make a mistake and accidentally write something that you didn't want to write, you have the option within the same pen tool of the eraser, and you can erase whatever. Okay, so that would be using the pen tool, using worksheets like crosswords, word searches, whatever kind of worksheets. If you've got older children and they didn't really want to use the pen tool and you were doing another kind of worksheet, you could choose this option, which is over here, the T, and that's the text. That way we can write something about it. You can see my text right now is very big. I can make it smaller just by dragging that along or using these arrows over here. You can also change the style of text that you want. You can change the color. You can make it bold, whatever you want. So if you wanted to write something about this, okay, this boy's name is Caleb, and they're asking what are they wearing. So Caleb is wearing a t-shirt. Okay, I want to fit that a little bit better onto my line so I can make it smaller and I can move it down to where I want. Okay, that way your students can type. I also have here a bingo game. Okay, now you see I've just got one board, but if I click on it, I can see that this is page 1 of 10. If I wanted to move between pages, I could click this arrow over here, but it's not really recommended because it would take a while to upload, as well as you might get lost at which page your student is on, which page you are on. So the best thing to do is click this button over here that says extract pages. So let's click that and say I just have one other student and me. So I just need 2 boards. So I can choose any 2 random boards within these 10 pages and click the extract button. This is something you want to do before your student is with you as part of your preparation. Now you see that these 2 new boards have come up. Sometimes they take a moment to upload, so this is why you want to do this before class. This one with the 10 pages, it's best to delete it. That way it doesn't cause any confusion. So I can now move these 2 boards where I want to. You can see they didn't upload very nicely. They're still a little bit unclear. If I make my page a little bit bigger, you will see they start to load better, okay? All pages and images you can resize on your board as you like. And now we could play a bingo game together. You can change your screen size so that they fit both nicely on. Those are things you want to set up before, as I mentioned. Okay, in order to play bingo, what I very often do before the class as well is I make sure that I have all of my words written onto Post-its, okay? So we're going to write the word fishing here, and then we can just copy this Post-it and write the next word, okay? And then well, don't put them in order, obviously, because it's a bingo game, but make sure that you've added all the vocabulary that you find in here. And then you can place them one on top of each other. Your final card, you could just leave blank. That way nobody knows what the first word is, and place it on top. So while you're playing bingo, you just move the Post-its along. Okay, the first word is dancing. Can anybody see somebody dancing? Okay, over here it is. So I could circle it or I could cross it out until we have all of our bingo cards. So that's how I play bingo. Let's see what else I've loaded onto the board. Okay, this one over here that says, what's the weather like in Germany? This is purely a conversation activity. So I've just loaded this image and I will have my student tell me a little bit about the weather using weather vocabulary such as cloudy, rainy, and the temperatures. So images to talk about, you could really use in any way that you wanted. Over here, I've uploaded a little board game that's played like Ludo or Parcheesi. Once again, you see that it's not loaded so nicely. So once you make your screen bigger, you will see this loading button, and now it's better, okay? In order to play board games, to get your board game pieces, you could download PNG images of regular board game pieces. I have some on the website. Or you could use this shape option over here. So here I'm going to choose a circle because obviously I want the pieces to be like the regular game. Okay, I can resize them as I want. This is actually already a good size for me, but you can resize them if you wanted. You can change the color of them. So we're going to make a red one. And after the red one, I'm going to copy it. And over here, I want to paste the next one. And this one, we're going to make orange so that you have enough pieces for your game. Okay, that depends on how many students you have. If you wanted to set out all pieces beforehand, that's fine as well. For a dice, you could either use a dice that you already have, and if your student has one as well, they could use their own and roll and just say the numbers. Or you can use post-its again, which is something that I do, and I randomly write numbers on the post-its, copy them and place them one over another. Okay, numbers 1 to 6 in random order. I make a whole lot of them, putting them one on top of another. And that way, as we play, once again, the first one is nothing, so nobody knows what the first dice roll will be. These post-its, if you can see through them, you can make them darker. That's not a problem. You can see if you click over here, you can change the color of your post-its, and now we don't see anything. Okay, so move the post-its along. The first person has a 6, and they go there, 6 spaces, moving along the board and answering the questions as they go along. Okay. Over here, I've got a little puzzle that needs to get built together. This is a puzzle of a fox. And what you can do is just space the pieces out as you like. These can be resized as well. Obviously, because it's a puzzle, we don't recommend resizing them. All pieces need to be the same size. And your student can build the puzzle and talk about the picture as they go along. So that's pretty much from the uploads, everything that I want to tell you about. Let's have a quick look at this left-hand menu over here. So they have some templates set up already. If you wanted, you could make some mind maps and graphs with your students. I don't need that right now. They have the text tool we've seen, the post-it, the shape we've seen. There are some connection lines over here if you wanted to use arrows to show. We've seen the pen tool. Some of these options that I have here, you do have to upload yourself just by clicking on the 3 buttons, and then they give you more options. For example, this one, which is the unsplash photos that you can put onto your board. This emoji tool is quite cool. So if your student is working well and you wanted to give them a nice happy face, you can put a happy face onto the board. Okay, web page capture. Comments is also quite good. If you have your students' parents looking at the board afterwards, you may want to leave a comment for them. Just click the comment tool and then on the board where you wanted to leave the comment. Okay, so I want my comment to go with this. And so my student spoke very well. So let's say James spoke very well about the weather. Okay, you can really say whatever you wanted. So here we've got a comment that the parents can read later. Okay. Oh, yes. I also have this frame tool over here. This is useful for a few things. Okay, so you have different frames. Let me just draw something on the board quickly, and then I will probably show you how the frame tool works. Okay. So if I draw a smiley face, okay, I'm just going to make my pen a little bit bigger, which is something you can use using this thickness tool over here. Okay, stay with purple, and I'm going to draw a little smiley face. Okay, if you had previous work that you were doing with the pen or something else that you wanted to move further down the board to recap, it would be difficult because each item would move on their own. So here the template tool comes in handy because you can take a template, custom it, and just frame the work that you have. Okay, so let's frame this. And now what we can do is we can use this frame and move it around the board, any work that you had, okay? Using a frame, you can also save any work that you have by exporting it as an image to your computer. So that can be useful if you are making pictures. And I think that's everything that I wanted to tell you about using the Miro. All resources that I have here on this board can be found on the website. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed to use the resources. Thank you.